Welcome to Module 7, Introduction to React. So far in the course, we've learned about HTML, which is how we describe the structure of our application, CSS, which is how we style it to look the way we want it to look, and we've covered JavaScript, which is how we add logic and implement interactivity in our application. In this module, we're going to be learning about React. React is a JavaScript library for building user interfaces. Talking about libraries, we've covered a few of these so far. So we've used jQuery, we've been introduced to the Bootstrap library. A library essentially is a set of code that's been written and published by other developers that we can use in our application to get something done. React is a library that was developed by Facebook and it was open sourced a while ago. Open sourcing a library means that other developers can use and contribute to that library without having to pay for it or without having to worry about copyright infringement. If a library is open source, then you might have to pay for it to use it, or you might need to agree to whatever stipulation the owner of the library specifies. Generally, we want to use libraries that are open source and are available for the general public to use. One of the reasons why libraries like React are very popular is they make web application easier and more fun to develop. For most non-trivial applications, it can be very difficult to write and maintain these applications as they grow. React is one of the library that has become very popular in the last couple of years. So there's several other libraries like Angular and Vue.js, just to mention a few. Every few years, we tend to see new JavaScript libraries popping up, and sometimes it may be difficult to actually keep up with them. So while it's great to learn a particular library or framework, it's best to understand the core fundamentals of computer science and programming. That way, you can always adapt and learn whatever library is in vogue. But we're going to be talking about React. So one of the good things is React is very simple to learn. React is essentially JavaScript. So if you're comfortable writing JavaScript, you should find React relatively easy to learn. The other reason is React is declarative and it's component based. By declarative, it means that we focus on what we want to do rather than how we want to do it. So we can specify in a declarative way how we want our application to look and behave, and React can undo all the heavy lifting for us. The other reason why you might want to use React is it's component based. So what does that mean? One, components make it easy for us to develop reusable parts of an application. One thing you may have noticed so far, and I will actually show you, is in our HTML application, we've had to duplicate our navigation bar, for example. So here you can see in index.html, I have this navigation. If I go to my edit project, I have the same navigation. If I go to my profile, I have the same navigation. Obviously, having the exact same code in multiple places is not maintainable because each time we need to make a change, we have to go to multiple files to update that change. By building our application in components, it's actually easier to build them in isolation and reuse those components in multiple places. So whenever we need to make a change, we just change the component and the change gets updated and reflected everywhere. Component is also a very good way to think of applications because we can break down our application into smaller bits and have multiple people work on them. So one person might be building component A, another engineer might build component B. At the end of the day, we can compose or assemble these components together to arrive at our final application. The third reason why we want to use React is a very flexible library. It's flexible in the sense that we can use it to build web applications, either single page web applications or applications that are rendered on the server side. In this course, we will actually see how we can use React to render single page applications. Single page applications, if you're wondering, these are usually apps that when we access the application, we load the entire application, and all the other pages are controlled within the application. So the routing essentially is all done client side. And applications that are rendered on the server, each time we need to either refresh the page or to load a section of the application, it is a server that is actually sending down all the code needed to run the application. Now that's different from SPAs. SPAs, we make a single request to the server, we get all the code for the application, and when we try to access multiple pages, all of that gets undone on the client side. Another reason why we want to use React is we can use React to build mobile applications using React Native. React Native is a mobile framework that lets you build cross-platform or hybrid applications. So by learning React, you can use the same concept to build applications for iOS and Android using the same code base. So before we actually get into learning React, we need to review a couple of AS6 concepts because we'll be using this concept and we're going to see them heavily in the subsequent lessons. So to begin, we're going to review functions and classes. We're going to review spread operators, destructuring, and arrow functions. Let's get started.